adversity can really knock you on your ass, and it's hard to get up. It really is. I like this little picture I found somewhere that said adversity is your greatest gift, and I think it really is. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and this video is precisely about that. Your trials and tribulations that make you a better person and on your way to a good researcher. That is what we're going to talk about.
The GERA Foundation presents this series called Navigating Research.
Yeah, growing up in a big family can be interesting, challenging, maybe even dangerous. In our case, very dangerous. And these events that occurred to me all through my life, strange little things and things we did, most of it we brought on ourselves. Most of it was our own fault. We were trying to, we would go out onto the ice in Lake Huron, you'd be out a mile or so, and then we get to the edge. We're trying to throw each other in. Stupid things like that, just dumb things. Or you're jumping out of trees, you're 20 feet in the air, and you're just being an idiot jumping between trees. Now that's choices I made, that's the decisions I made. But events that occur to you are different than that, right? So something may happen where it's completely out of your control. It's not because of you. Most of the things in my youth that I did that were silly were because of me. And my brothers and that. And we were so used to, you get into fights with your brothers. My brothers would make us fight with each other because they didn't like babysitting, by the way. They hated kids. My older brothers hated kids. It was terrible, terrible. And my dad, of course, tried to keep us out of trouble, so he'd always give us work to do. So you'd have to move the brick pile this weekend from one side of the yard to the other, or, carry the rocks and pile them somewhere else. He'd keep you busy. And so you didn't get into trouble. Anyways, but the thing about it is, it actually makes you quite strong, and it gives you a strong character as well. So you're able to deal with lots of situations where most people can't. Like, many people can't figure out what to do when they get punched, or they're going to be punched. You don't want to stand and let a guy punch you. And, when you have 11 brothers, you get in lots of fights. I learned to fight in the crib with my brother Alec. When we were 6 months, I was 6 and he was a year and a half old, because he's a year and a month older than me. But, I learned to fight in the crib with my brother. So, and we've been pretty good friends ever since. And the thing is, in our family, that was just natural. But I don't know how we survived our youth. None of my brothers, I could ask any one of them, and they would say they never thought they would live to 30, never mind 50 or 60, and now some of them are in their 70s. And we just didn't think we'd survive because we did crazy things. And that's, again, those are decisions. Those are not events, but we did crazy things. And anyways, that's sort of the youth side of the thing, but it makes you tougher, makes you harder. And it means that you can do things when things happen to you. So, those characteristics in me about that came from my youth mostly. That fear, having no fear, and I literally learned to take a punch, literally. So you can get smacked in the jaw, and it does not faze me. I'll carry on. And it's funny, when I played rugby all those years, people used to try to make me angry to get me off my game. And it never worked because, firstly, I was always angry, and secondly, I got used to playing like that. So I played on the edge. And so you're not doing anything to me. You're not going to affect the way I play. Because, there's a few times where I went absolutely crazy, chased some poor bastard all over the field. Man, he was twice my size. I don't know why he was running from me. He was a coward. I couldn't believe it. Played provincial and national level rugby, and he had to run away from a guy that's 5'8". Never mind. Anyways, so that was my youth, and I don't know how I survived it, quite honestly. It was pretty hectic. There were things that happened. I don't want to go into details. It's not worth it. They get a little bit gory sometimes. I've been stabbed. I've been shot at. We used to throw Molotov cocktails at each other. Can you imagine? We burned a bridge down. We started a river on fire. It was not good. So I don't know how I survived my youth. Okay? That was my youth. When I went to university, undergrad, I lived in a place we called the White House. No, not this place. No. It was a house built after the war, 2 bedrooms, really dilapidated, no insulation, and very cold in the winter, very hot in the summer. And we got into lots of trouble when we lived there all the same.
But no, I did not live in this White House. I lived in the White House in Edmonton.
I want to relay an event that occurred when I was in university, undergrad. I was in second year writing, I was just around midterms in my middle of winter, so midterms around February 1981. And I won't go into any real detail, I'm not going to give names. It was just a really bad situation occurred where somebody did something to someone in our house, and then some people, they then did something back to them. The situation started escalating, and I don't mean nice things. I mean somebody stole something from somebody, other people went over to this place, beat them up, and it escalates. And then of course, eventually this led to them sending over guys with guns to sort us out, and they couldn't get into the house. The funniest part of this whole story, if there is anything funny, is that nobody could kick in our back door because we always braced it, and it didn't function anyway, so you had to reach through a broken window to pull the support stuff out of the way and then open the doorknob from the inside. In fact, even stupider than that is someone went out to get a new door. They decided, well, the easiest thing would be to buy one, right? Well, that makes sense to most people, but no, not to us. No. They went to someone's house and they stole their front door, and then they took their front door off their house in the middle of the night and brought it back. Unfortunately, it didn't fit. So the bad part for us is we threw the door out. The bad part for the other people is they got up with no front door. I don't know how that did anything to their electrical bill, but that's another story. Anyway, so these guys come with guns. They can't get in. They're trying to kick the door in. And my one brother, he noticed that they had guns and they were trying to get in, but he just said to hell with it, went back to bed. It was crazy. They never told me. I went to university. When I came home later that day from school, I noticed there was a problem, and then it was only a couple hours later that some people came back and we realized what had happened. And what had happened is those same people came back the next day and took a couple of us hostage out of the house. And they were going out into the countryside. And in Alberta, the roads are notorious for potholes. And the one guy, when they hit a pothole, accidentally shot himself. So it was not good. Not good at all. It was his own stupidity, really, but shouldn't have had the gun in the first place, but there it is. Anyways, they took him off to the hospital, and the gun was never found, and police would then arrive. Now you got the RCMP showing up, asking you questions. That's the provincial police. And when they come into the jurisdiction of the city police, they get a little antsy, so then they show up and start asking questions. And of course, we say nothing. We don't talk to police. You're kidding me? What are you, stupid? Talk to anybody like that? We said nothing. Even if it was to help us, we would say nothing. And so we seem to think that stopped it. Well, that led to another escalation, which is anyway, details here. I don't want to go into any. I don't want to give any names. Just want to give any names. Anyways, so the whole thing just went sideways because now this guy had shot himself. So now other people, people then retaliated to that effect, which was bad. No guns, nothing like that. But that led to a motorcycle gang getting involved, trying to get us back. And so we got threatening phone calls. But in the end, it turned out they were just blowing a lot of hot air. But I was studying exams during this. I was in the middle of exams. So you got all these people threatening to kill you and showing up at your door with guns and stuff like that. And you're studying for physics exams, math exams. Well, you learn two things. There's probably three things, but I'm just going to tell you about two things. You learn to have a sense of humor, full stop. Because if you don't have a sense of humor, you cannot deal with this thing. And the second thing is you learn to focus. And I learned to focus. So that probably, in that event in and of itself, probably made me so fixated on finishing things. And that probably led to some of the issues I had in later life when I was doing my PhD, and I was so focused on that. So, but you just learn to focus, and you learn to have a good sense of humor. And so if I see somebody laughing and having a good sense of humor, it tells me that they've gone through some pretty hard times. And I'm guessing a few of you will understand what I'm saying. So, but you got to find a way to take those events and turn them into things that's valuable to you. Because if you don't, you will not reach your goals. You will not be able to do what you really want to do and reach your potential. And I was able to do that just by focusing mostly and having a sense of humor. By the time I got to grad school, I kind of hoped that everything had just gone away. I went to a new city, I'm not around my brothers, they weren't bad influences, but bad things happened when we were together. And I kind of thought it would get better, and it did actually get better, it really did. So I could just enjoy doing research, and I was doing that, and I was playing rugby, and I was having fun with my friends and meeting people also. It was great. It was like, you felt like you're liberated almost in a way, right? And I really enjoyed that. But unfortunately, in one of the times, one of my friends I played rugby with, he got murdered in Kingston, of all places. Kingston, Canada, population 100. And it was really terrible. It was probably it led to one of my greatest regrets, which I'll talk about in more detail in another video. But I wasn't home that night, and he came to get my help, and I wasn't there. And I always regretted that. But every day after that, you got to get up. You just got to get out of bed. You got to keep going to the university, keep going to your office, keep doing your research, keep writing your thesis, and you got to just keep going. And that's hard to do sometimes. It really is. But you got to do it. You got to just do it. You got to see past it. If something terrible happens to one of your family members, you got to find a way to recognize in the longer term you have something you do. Now, I've already learned to focus and have a sense of humor about things, so I was able to get myself through that. It was terrible, but I was able to do it. And I did finish my thesis, and I did dedicate it to him as well. So I don't have any copies of it anymore, but that's all right. But I still think about him all the time. And, he's not with us anymore, but there's not much I can do about that. If I had been home that night, I likely would have been dead with him, to be frank. That's how bad it was. So, unfortunately. So a little bit of a downer, I suppose, but still. Anyways, you have to grow, and you have to deal with these things. And that's how you get through your PhDs. That's how you get through your thesis when you're studying. And that's how you write papers even.
Oh, I didn't expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
My Spanish Inquisition was my PhD defense. And it really was. It felt like it to me. I promised I was going to be calm. I promised I was going to be polite. I promised I was going to be nice. Well, that didn't happen at the end. It was not good. I had planned, I had long hair and a big handlebar mustache. I looked like a convict of the local penitentiary. And I had planned to cut my hair and shave my mustache off when they asked me to leave. And when I walked back in, I would look like a normal human being. That didn't happen. So anyways, long stories, the presentation was, I just didn't answer the first question well. And after that, they probably thought I didn't know my topic. And they just started grilling me. And it went on for hours, literally 2 hours in, 2.5 hours in, something like that. Some guy asks a question, and I finally snap. I just lose it. And I just go, I have no idea what you're talking about. Really aggressively, And the poor guy, he just sits back in his chair. Let me rephrase that question. And he says something. I go, no clue. And the chairman says, he stands up and he goes, the PhD chairman stands up and he goes, well, I think this candidate's had enough today. Maybe we should, ask him to leave. And so they say, can you please, I said, yeah, I'm out of here. And I just grabbed my stuff and I left. And I didn't just leave the room and wait outside. I left the building. I left the university. I buggered off. I said, I'm pissed. I'm mad as hell. And I can't calm down. And I'm angry. I want to hit someone. Anyways, so I go for a walk and I end up, I go down to the store and I buy myself a Coke. Used to drink about 8 liters a day back then. I got myself a can of Coke and I'm drinking it. I decided to walk back to the university. I've calmed down a little bit, but not much. And I was sitting somewhere else on the campus, and then people started looking for me. The other grad students were looking around because, you got to go back in. And they find me about an hour after I left the meeting. And they go, Gordon, you got to go back in. I go, nah, screw them. And I thought, screw it. Okay, fine, I'll go back in. Did not get my hair cut, did not shave. And I go back in and they say, well, congratulations, and we'll have a little toast here for you. And they hand out port. And as they're handing me a glass of port, I go, I don't drink. Very, very abrupt. And then the supervisor, my chairperson says, Gordon, you got to think of this like a rugby game. He goes, oh, no, wait a second, you might hit me. And I go, oh yeah, I'm going to. And I actually said that to him. And so the other, I just was so pissed off. And then my supervisor goes, well, we'll have to go for dinner, because that was tradition, to take your, the examining board plus the graduate students, you all go to dinner together, and you celebrate, graduating. And I'm like, I got rugby practice. Thank you. And I left. I didn't even I just walked out the door, didn't wait. So, the moral of the story is, don't do what I do. I say this often in my videos, but it's true. Be more prepared for your thesis defense. Be nice. I couldn't do it. Maybe you can. I hope so. Because your life will be better. Trust me. And they're nice people. They're not there to hurt you. So anyways, so what I want to say in the final part of this video is basically, you know, all those events that you've lived through, they build your character. Some of those character traits are going to make you a better person. Some are going to make you a worse person. It's just the way it is. And you just got to find a way to do it. But in the end, you know, don't see the whole world as your enemy. Just, you know, go into that thesis or write that paper and answer the questions the referees are asking. Just look at it and recognize that they're just trying to get the best out of you. That's what it is. They're just trying to get the best out of you. They were trying to do that with me. I just got angry and it didn't end well. Okay, but there it is. I hope your thesis defense goes much better, and I hope you enjoy it. And that's the key. Enjoy it.
Our chief weapon is surprise. Surprise and fear.
I survived my youth. I survived my adolescence, my early university years. All of these things I survived. I'm here today. I can laugh about it because I developed a sense of humor dealing with all these crazy things. And I got stronger. And I learned to focus. So adversity makes you stronger. So all those things that happen in your life, they're making you the person you are. And that person must be the best of you. So it'll carry you through your career.
The GERA Foundation will produce more videos like this. Please like, share, or subscribe if you enjoyed this video.